Thank you very much. A very good morning to all the would-be entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs. Good morning to the faculty members who are present. And I will make this a little bit interactive. And thank you, Obhijit, for allowing me to be a part of this session. It is a very interesting one. I'll share my presentation. I have a small presentation, so I'll share my presentation. Right. I believe you can see my presentation. Okay. See, before I start, I would like to tell you why I am here. I always wanted to speak to the entrepreneurs because I see that we always look at the rosy picture that somebody has made a million, somebody has made a billion. However, for every 1 millionaire, there are 99 people who has failed. So out of 100, only one person gets success, and that person becomes highlighted. Their news come up on the newspaper, television, social media, and we think that it is very easy thing to do. So we can become the another millionaire, billionaire. But you need to understand those 99 story of failures to make sure that you don't make the same mistake when you try to become the next millionaire or billionaire. So I over my last 21 years, I have 21 years of experience. I am almost 46 years of age. So I started my first business when I was in college. I don't know whether I was born at that time. It was almost 1998, 1999. But I stopped that business. Then I went to Delhi. I went to New Zealand. I went abroad. I stayed some time abroad. And then I came back to India. And I started this business when I was like 28, 29 years of age. So now it is running for quite a long time, more than a decade and more. So I have made a lot of success and a lot of failures. So I want to share my journey with you to make sure that whatever hurdles I face, you people are aware of it and you don't make the same mistake, because every mistake actually takes you back 1 year or 2 years or maybe more. So in your journey, if you want to become a young millionaire, you have to make sure that you are making the least number of mistakes. So we always say, we entrepreneurs, people learn from their own mistakes, but as an entrepreneur, we learn some others' mistake. So I had my mistakes, I had my correct decisions. So I will share both with you, what is right and what is wrong. And you have to improvise that in your journey so that you make the most right decisions and less wrong decisions. I am an ethical hacker. I started this Indian School of Ethical Hacking 2012. Before that, I had another company, iSolution. And I am also a process auditor. So I audit security and quality process, business excellence for different companies like Tata Steel, even Bandhan Bank, CSC, Coca-Cola, Titagarh Wagons, Amity Hospital, Apollo, Spencer, IIT Kharagpur, Jadavpur University, Peerless. So a lot of companies, even your Accenture, your Capgemini, Airtel, Vodafone, all these are my audit. So when I go for audit, I try to find the gaps in these companies. So I understand how the top companies work. And that is something I want to share with you to understand that even if you are small, you have to think like the big companies. Otherwise, you will never become big. And of course, we are NASSCOM and CII. Right. So categorically, if you see, I have a lot of slides over here. And every slide, I have kept rule number 1. Nothing is rule number 2, because all rules are equally important. You cannot just ignore any of this. See, when I talk to entrepreneurs, the first thing that I have seen, since you people are from the engineering background, I have seen in an entrepreneurship, especially the young entrepreneurs, they first create a team of 4 techies. And they think that these 4 techies can actually make is a very good team. I heard somebody was asking Rohit that can I have start a journey, start a company with a 1 member or 2 member team, or do I need a bigger team for that? No startup will be successful without 4 or 5 type of people. The first and the most important person is you, who has the idea, who has the technology, who has the know-how, most importantly, who has a solution to a burning problem, a current problem which has no market solution, and you have a solution to that. Now, you are the most important part in that company. But you are like a lead vocalist in a band. Just with a lead vocalist, that band will never become big. You need a drummer, you need some person with the other music instruments. Only when you come up with a full team, then it becomes more attractive to the buyer. So even if you are the lead vocalist in the band, don't ignore the other musicians. Who are the other musicians? The most important musician in your team is an accountant. See, the startup falls, the startup rises because of money. You are there to earn money. And if you are not very good with the money management, then you are doomed sooner or later. You will rise to a certain level, but you will not prosper. So make sure that whenever you start a company, one person who should always be there in the company is an expert accountant who tells you where is the money coming from and where is the money going. Where can you do cost cutting? Where can you do some savings? How you can effectively reduce the expenses and increase the income. Because this entire money management, you need to have an expert to guide you all throughout the journey. Second person is the HR expert. I will come to a little bit later why HR expert is needed. Third is a marketing expert. Now, you might be a geek, you might be the smartest person in this planet, but marketing is a skill, it's a knowledge, it's a specialized domain. If you don't have a proper marketing expert in the team who is specialized in marketing, your product will grow to a certain level but will not take off from there. It's almost like having a aeroplane running at a high speed on the runway but never taking it off the ground. You need marketing. I will focus a little bit on this, on the marketing techniques and tools. But marketing expert is very important. Somebody who partially understands your technology but fully understand the marketing concepts. And fourth, you need somehow an experienced mentor. Don't pay anybody. Never pay any. If somebody wants to become a mentor, or you think that somebody can become a mentor, don't need to pay that person. But always have somebody who is 40 plus, 50 plus years of age and who is himself very successful, who is always giving you some guidance and what are the things you are doing right and what you are doing wrong, because he has experienced a lot of mistakes in his life. So he is the right person to tell you that where you can go wrong. And if you are going in the wrong direction, he practically can bring you back to the track. Right. Now the next part, the next thing that is very important is the HR part. The HR and admin is very important in an office. See, when you are a 3-4 member team, maybe everybody is a partner and has a stake in the company. But there are different levels of entrepreneurship. First, you can do a freelancing. That means you are working alone. But working as freelancing is never an entrepreneurship. Why? Freelancing is basically you are an employed person where you are finding the job for yourself. You are not an entrepreneur. You are just a person who is finding the job for yourself and you are a job goer. Entrepreneur is a person who is earning money even when he is not working. The moment you reach this position where you are sleeping and still your company is earning, then only you become an entrepreneur. So if that is to happen, you need to have employees. Otherwise, you are not scaling up. You are not getting that huge amount of money. You are just getting a very good salary, be it in a freelancing mode or working in another company. The moment you are scaling up, you are earning more than what any company could have given you a salary, and you are earning that while you are not working. I'm not saying you will not work anytime, but whenever you are taking a break, the company is still earning, and you are earning more than what a company could have given you the salary. Then you become an entrepreneur. And to have an entrepreneur, you need to have some people working for you. Now, the moment you have some people working for you, the big trouble starts. What is the trouble? They do not have that passion that you have for your company. They are just working for salary. So whenever, even if you are working 365 days a year, they are only working for 10 to 6. After 6, they are invisible. Before 10, they are not there. They are only coming for a job. Many of them will be very good. They will be taking responsibility. Some will be even more good. They will be taking decisions, but not a single person will have the same passion that you have for your own company. So how to manage these employees? Because when we go to company, when we go to our office, we see that 80% of our time are wasted by doing admin jobs and HR jobs. Somebody has a complaint, the door is not working, the electricity bill has not been paid, we are having some problem with the vendors, and this is not what you want to be busy with. You want to be the strategist, you want to be the core business person who will only focus on the business expansion. But what comes when you have 10, 20 people or at least even 5, 6 employees working for you? You have trouble. So in that case, you need a very strong HR and admin person who will take care of these troubles, and that those troubles will not filter out from those HR admin person and get escalated to you. Because the moment it get escalated to you, if you already have some office, you know that what type of time consuming, time wastage happens because of this type of problems. The moment you have a startup company, have a good accountant, have a good HR and admin person, or at least assign somebody in your team that you are the single point of contact for solving all the HR and admin problems. Somebody who has a very cool head, smart, very diplomatic, and can solve problems. So it is not just as an entrepreneur you are solving the society's problem or the public's problem or the customer's problem. You yourself will have a lot of problems within your office, and there has to be somebody other than you who can effectively take care of it, and it doesn't come to you. Otherwise, you will not be able to scale up. You will be wasting all your time solving your own company's problem rather than solving customers' problem. Very important for any startup, if you recruit an employee, always check for background. Always do a background verification. This is the single most important point for recruiting employees. Never ever recruit an employee without doing a proper background verification. Now, what exactly is background verification? Just call the last few office. Don't call the numbers which you have used as reference. They're always the friends of those people. If you really want to do a background verification, look at the name of the companies which that person has put into the CV. Go to those companies' website. Look at the number that has been given in that website. Call that number. Find the HR's number and the email ID. Call the HR and find out what is the history of this person. Many small companies, small startups close down because somebody from within that company goes out with the clients. Somebody from within the company does a fraud. Somebody from within the company steals, or there is a breakup within the company. Somebody from within the company starts doing politics. Now, if you do a background verification, you will see that these people have a history of crime, has a history of scams and frauds. Nobody becomes a scammer on one fine morning. They have, in the earlier companies also, they had faced some problems. So if you do a proper background verification, immediately these people will be filtered out. I have done it for my company. I wanted to take a marketing guy for one of my locations. We have a lot of locations within West Bengal outside. And the top 3 choice that I had looking at the CV, because they were the most talented, most skilled people, and even the technical round was very good. All top three people we had to discard, because the moment we started doing background verification, we saw that they have done fraud in the last few companies. And some of the fraudsters are exceptionally skilled, intelligent, and they actually have a lot of talent. But don't get blinded by those talent. If they come to the company, it's better to have good employees than very talented employees, because they will first give you some money and then they will completely ruin you. Coming to the next point, market survey matters, but do not let others tell you what will work best for you. Now, this is something very interesting. A lot of people ask me this question. When you go for a new company, obviously the sole objective is to solve a problem. Now, most of the entrepreneurs or the startups guys, they have a very blind vision of, if they have an idea that is the next Microsoft or next Google. It's not like that. Whatever you think is the best, see, my company is like my kid, and everybody thinks that my kid is the best in the world. But others may not find my kid more interesting. So what happens? When you will come to the market with your startup, your kid, do a market survey that is this the right solution which people, customers might accept, or I need to improvise. Market survey is not meant to shelve your company. Market survey is meant to improvise your proposal, your proposition in the market. So always do a market survey before you launch into the market, but do not get demoralized if the market survey becomes very negative, comes up with a negative report. See, a few days back, I was talking to a senior entrepreneur who had just, after doing a long, almost 25 years of job, he became an entrepreneur. So he was saying that a lot of people are telling him that this will not work. Now, who is an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur is somebody who, like, I'll tell you a story. There was a very tall tree and three people were asked to climb that tree. There was a very tall tree and three people were asked to climb that tree. Now, moment these three people started climbing that tall tree, only one person could actually reach the top. Who was that person? That person was the deaf person. He couldn't hear. So that person couldn't hear, or everybody from the ground telling him that you will fall immediately. You will be a failure. You cannot succeed. Your technique is wrong. You are not good. So all throughout your journey, you will always keep hearing that, okay, you are good, but not the best. Be the deaf person, but look into the market survey. Don't have to accept the market survey just blindly and close the company, but try to improvise what can work best if this comes as a problem, and always have a plan B, plan C, plan D while you proceed in your entrepreneurship journey. Right. The next thing, I was talking about the marketing people. Now, this is something very sensitive. Marketing is something which no company can work without. Marketing is very important. Even if you have the best of the best products, proper marketing will make you the next millionaire. And if you do not have the proper marketing, you will fall. Just look at White Hat Junior. They have done so extensive marketing. I see that every kid is now has taken a subscription over there. But look at the best of the best teachers who are doing private tuition. I'm sure that there are better teachers in IT computers who are doing small private tuitions, but they are doing better than the White Hat Juniors. But they don't have marketing. They don't have the reachability. They are not visible. So if they are not visible, nobody knows about them. Even if their product is best in the market, they don't have that sufficient amount of volume as a client. And they are not growing. They are not scaling up. Scaling up is very important in entrepreneurship. And you need to have very good marketing people or agency or a mentor who can guide you with the marketing. Now comes the question, should I go for digital marketing or the traditional marketing? Digital marketing cost is almost 1/10 of traditional marketing. And digital marketing gives you a huge visibility and reach without spending too much of money. So always start with the digital marketing. However, traditional marketing has an advantage over digital marketing. What is that advantage? See, digital marketing gives you the reach, but the traditional marketing gives you the power and the trust. You see a lot of ads on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You know this company is there, but doesn't mean that you go and trust them. No. The moment you see that same ad on newspaper or on television, you know, oh my God, these guys must be very big. You see some name on the road on a hoarding, you know these guys are big. Did you ever go to Flipkart or Myntra office? Do you know which is bigger, whether Flipkart or Myntra? No. So your perception is somebody who is giving an ad on social media is a small company. Somebody who is giving an ad on the non-traditional, on the traditional platform must be a very big company. Immediately the trust factor goes. Those companies seems to be more powerful than somebody who is giving small ads on the digital media. So keep in mind, you must start with the digital marketing, but from time to time, as you get money, spend some money on the traditional marketing part. Brand management matters, have a budget for it. It's all about branding. Marketing is nothing but branding. Marketing is nothing but public relation. So when I say I have the marketing people out here in my company, I don't call them marketing people. I call them my public relation people and my client relationship people. So public relation people actually, in fact, the marketing person whom I hired in my company has done a master's degree in public relation. I said that you need to be a very good PR person. And in fact, the best PR person is the owner of the company who moves around everywhere, keep talking about the product or the service. But PR is very, very important. Brand means public relation, PR, you must understand PR. PR doesn't mean you go to hundreds of people and tell them, give me work. It never works. You will not get a single work. You will not get a single help. Just go and talk about the offerings you have. That this is my product. This is how it can help the society. This is the difference that it can make. Never ask directly for any work or any help. It doesn't work. Immediately it gives a negative branding. So brand management is very, very important. How do you position your brand is very, very important. I'll give you an example. When you go for software development, people immediately start negotiating with a small company. But when they go to a company like TCS or CTS, they do not negotiate. Why? Because the brand perception is that these companies are very big. I cannot negotiate. When you go to a roadside hawker, you must be going to Gariyahat and you start negotiating even 50 rupees, 100 rupees with a roadside hawker. Can you ever negotiate after when you go to a shopping mall, maybe to a Pantaloons, maybe to a Shopper Stop? You cannot negotiate. Why? Because the brand management matters. What is the difference between that iPhone and the top level non-iPhone phone handset? Not much. There's small difference, but they are taking almost double, triple the price for an iPhone. Why? Because the brand positioning is said that this is premium. So moment you start advertising, the moment you start projecting yourself, who are you? Always give an impression to the people that this is something we are doing big. Because within 1 month or 2 months, people will tag you in certain position in the market. This guy, this company is small. This guy, this company is medium. This guy, this company is big. So that brand positioning your customers will try to do with you. So whenever you go to the market, always give a projection that who are you? You make yourself clear which segment should I place myself, big, medium, small. I know small companies who are putting a hoarding, big hoarding on the road. Why? Because they want to project themselves as a big company. So this is very important that if you think that you are the next big thing in the market, Project yourself as the next big thing. Don't think that I will start small and then I will move up the scale and I will become big tomorrow. It will never happen. You start small, you will end small. You start big, you might end as a big company. Very, very important and the most neglected part, compliance can kill. When you start a company, do you know that what are the compliance that you need to follow? When I started my company after 2-3 years, I had to pay a fine of 4 lakhs, which could have been used for a very important investment for a growth of the company. When you start a company, you have to get a trade license, you have to get a shop establishment certificate. You need, if you are more than 10 people, I advise you people at the beginning, do not employ more than 10 people. So directors are not counted. Other than the directors, other than the stakeholders in the company, try to keep the number of people in your company within 10. Otherwise, immediately ESI will come, PF will come, and there are a lot of things which will come into the compliance part. And these compliance are deadly. The moment you get into the PF, ESI, you will have a PF inspector coming to your office and you have no idea what can be done with you. Even if you have a clean record, you will face a lot of problems. So try to stay within 10 people for the first 1 year or 2 years, or at least 1 year. And make sure that your accountant knows how to fulfill this compliance. This is India. There are hundreds of laws and acts. You have to have GST filing, PF, ESI, professional tax, shop establishment, trade license, property tax. Make sure that you are not a defaulter. This country is a country of lots and lots of compliance. If you do not know the compliance, you will not have the money to pay the penalty. Very, very important that you have the right guy who can help you with being compliant. Otherwise, most of the companies, I have seen that most of the companies, trust me, companies fail because of 2 reasons. Most of the startups die within 10 years. It is always said that startups, if they go to the double digit, they will go to the triple digit. Most of the companies don't go to the double digit. That means they die before they reach 10 years. And why they are killed? The first reason is compliance. Big companies fall due to compliance issue. So make sure that you are paying your taxes and your records are clean, audited by a chartered accountant. This is what I have done right from the beginning. I get it audited by a chartered accountant. Still, I could not avoid that penalty. So always get your accounts, your compliance audited by a competent chartered accountant. Otherwise, the fees that you save, that 20,000-30,000 rupees fees that you save by not going to that compliance expert, you will end up paying 10 times that more. Rule number 2 that kills the company, cash flow. Dangerous issue in Indian market. So you can see the picture, invoice send date and the payment receipt date. This is the second most important reason to kill the company. So make sure that you have some dedicated person who follows up the client for payment, for receive of the payment. Otherwise, you will do hundreds of work. You will have 30-40 lakhs floating in the market, and end of the month, you will not have any money, any cash in hand to pay for your vendors, for your electricity bill, your internet bill, your mobile bill, and especially the salaries of the people. If you are not paying the salary of the people, they will get demotivated and they will leave you. No skilled person will stay with a stupid entrepreneur. You need to be very smart because they have a family to earn for. So if you are not good enough to pay them salary in time, on the first of every month, they will not stay with you. Smart people work with smart entrepreneurs. You are stupid, you will end up with stupid people to work for you. So cash flow issue is something very important. I have a recommendation for you. Try to register to the MSME sector. MSME is medium and micro organizations. You go to Google, search for MSME. MSME. Go and register yourself for this MSME scheme. It's a free registration. No money is needed. Nothing to be paid over there. It's a free registration. This is something on offer by the government. So if you are an MSME registered company, client has to make a payment within 45 days of sending the bill. Otherwise, government will pay you and they will recover it from the customer. So always go for that MSME scheme. Right. Next important, process-oriented companies can only survive. Now this you will face when your company grows. When your company grows, like when you are a startup company and you have only 5 to 7 employees, it is very easy for you to control them, to control everything within the company. The moment you scale up from 5 to 7 to 25 to 30 people, and you have multiple location clients distributed all over the world, it goes out of your control. So in that case, what has to be done? Every bit of work that is done in the company, right from beginning to end, right from marketing to customer handling to business delivery to quality control, everything should be written on paper or on PDF file, because process, if not documented, is not a process oriented company. So always documented the entire workflow and make sure that this is followed by the people. The moment you document this process, it is in the form of policy, standard operating process. You try to find out, are the people following this? Then you have to keep some records. In a process-oriented company, people follow this process and it is continuously audited. In my company, I have one person who is continuously auditing my process to see whenever there is a deviation. So if you go to a company like PwC or Accenture, they will give you a handbook which says everything that you need to do. So if you go and ask your boss, sir, how do I do this? He will say, don't ask me a stupid question. Go and check the rule book. So in any company, there are two types of people. One, you don't follow the rule book. You create the rule book. You can improvise. You can break the rules like a Tendulkar. Other people will follow the rule that you have laid down in your policy and SOP. If everybody starts breaking the rule, that company is gone. It is out of control. So make sure that you let down the rules, take an expert, get an expert. If needed, implement ISO 9001 in the company quality management system, and make sure that company is process oriented. Do this while the company is young, within 10 people. Moment it becomes more than 10 people and it goes to 25, 30, you will immediately start losing control. If you do not have that process written down, that this is the role, you have to do the work this way, the other person has to do the work in a different way. If somebody wants to know how they want to will do the work in your company, it is written in the document. He doesn't have to come and ask somebody. He doesn't have to use his brain. He has to follow the rule. That rule has to be written. Otherwise, you will lose control. Look for government funds and subsidies. I am not sure whether you know this or not. There are a lot of government funds and subsidies for startups. Go to Google and register yourself for Startup India company. Go to Google and search for the state government funds. Go to Google and search for the central government funds. There are crores and crores of funds which are allocated for the startups. Go to NASSCOM and see whether you can be part of the 10,000 startup. There are a lot of private funds. There are a lot of government funds. I am not sure, because you cannot have so much money in your pocket. And when I say subsidies, that is also important. Like at this moment, government is giving a percentage of the PF which you are paying to your employees. Even if you take 2 new interns, government will give us 7,000 rupees per intern. So 7,000 rupees salary, government will pay on your behalf for every intern that you take within this lockdown. So go to the government officials if you are an entrepreneur, go to the whichever sector you are from, meet the government officials, ask them, sir, what are funds that are allocated for me, or do some do some research on Google. There are a lot of funds in the market. You need to know who is offering what type of fund and subsidies. And subsidies, like there was a subsidy where government is paying part of your electricity bill, part of your mobile bill, and part of your rent. These type of subsidies are also there from the government, but these are not well marketed, so people don't know it. Only few people know it, and they go for this, and they immediately save money. So try to do some research or talk to the government officials. Go for alliance and consortiums. Very important. You cannot do anything alone. This is something I learned a little bit late in my life. We always think we are the best. We will become the next Bill Gates or the next Mukesh Ambani. I don't need anybody else to help me in my business. It never works. In any business, always there are people who are not doing exactly what you are doing, but your output can be their input, or their output can be your input. For example, I'm an auditor. So when I audit, after audit, a company has to buy a lot of things. Like I go to a company and see that the firewall is not effective. So immediately the company has to buy a firewall. So what I do, I have a lot of vendors who sell firewall. So immediately I connect those companies with 2-3 vendors, firewall vendors, and say, you can go and choose from these guys. What happens? Immediately, these guys who sell firewall, when they go to some of the new clients and they say, I need an audit, they let me know. This is how the business grows. I am not selling firewall, so I have no harm in passing that project to the firewall guys. And firewall guys don't do audit, so there is no harm. If they come to know about something, they will pass on the project to me. That's an alliance. So always try to form an alliance, a group, a consortium, and you will come to know these people when you go and join the events. Try to go as many events as possible, offline and online, especially offline, because you meet people over there, you know people over there who can be your next friend in the business. We cannot survive in this business without friends. Very important that you keep this in mind. Don't go solo. Don't think that I don't need any friend. I will not pass on some projects to somebody, or I don't need help from somebody. It never works. It will never survive. Oh, okay. Inventors can wait. Again, I was listening to somebody. When can I get some money? Well, nobody will invest on you if you do not have a successful product. See, this is a funny thing. Investors, I will not say inventors, I would say investors. Investors only invest on something. Investors invest money on someone who doesn't need the money. Bank will give loan to somebody who doesn't need the loan. They will never give somebody money to some person who isn't short of money, because they know that that money will never come back. So if you think that you will make up something and immediately money will come to you, it will never come. When you will not need the money, then the investors will start investing on it. But yes, they will help you to scale up. Investors only come to scale you up. That means you already are successful, you want to become super successful, there the investors come into play. If you are new in the market, if you have just a new product, there is no profit, nobody will come. Now investors are also of different category. Like somebody who is trying to invest, like I was talking to an investor and he was saying, I don't invest below 50 crore. Some people said, I don't invest below 500 crore. So they are not, somebody who has 50 crore will not invest their time and effort for a 1 lakh, 2 lakh or 3 lakh or 5 crore return. So they are going big, they are thinking big, they have a lot of idle money. So they are thinking, where can I invest 50 crore and make it 80 crore? So they will not invest in a 2 crore, 3 crore company. They will invest in a big company. And if you go to the 50 crore level or at least a 20 crore level, then basically you are already successful. So investors only invest on successful people who has already seen the success, already seen the profit. They come into the picture to take them from 50 crore to 500 crore, not from 0 to 50 crore, not from 0 to 20 crore. You will not get any investors. And I would specifically ask you to avoid investors at the beginning, because the moment you take money from somebody, practically you have to ask him, may I go to toilet? Every time you go to toilet. So at the beginning phase, if you want flexibility in your decisions, never go to an investor. And most of the, investors who are investing in small companies for 0 to 2 crore, they are basically not good investors. They have some other reasons, because I get a lot of offers like, I want to invest money in your company. Now, when I talk to the person, I see that he has a son who is good for nothing. He wants to put that person into my company and make him settled. That's why he is trying to invest in my company. So try to avoid this type of investors. Talent will make you number one. Integrity will help you to stay there. Very important. I have seen a lot of good, talented people who are not honest. They make a little bit of money at the beginning, but they soon start to struggle, because industry doesn't know you. When you first come into the industry, they are neutral. You have a talent, they respect your talent. But if you are dishonest, they will take 1, 2, or 5 years to understand that you are dishonest. Once the industry know you are dishonest, that will become viral and you will get doomed. You will never be able to scale up from there. Nobody will give you money, projects, no client will come to you. So we have patience. Dishonest people grow fast and fall fast. People who have integrity grow slowly, but they stay over there. They don't fall easily. Health is important. I don't know, how many of you know me, but if you know me, like Rohit, when everybody asks me, how are you? I always say I'm always good. I have no time to stay back. I have no time to stay sick. I don't remember last 10 years when I have taken a sick leave. We are entrepreneurs. We work 365 days a year, 18 hours per day. Health is very important. If you are eating, if you are a foodie, you are eating a lot of sugar, junk food, you will not survive for too long. Your company might or might not survive, but you will not survive. You will not be active. And if you are not there as the head of the family, your entire family will suffer. So make sure that you invest a lot of strategy in keeping your health secure. Avoid junk food, avoid stress tension, don't do a lot of stress tension. Exercise, very important. Do jogging, do exercise. If you see all the entrepreneurs, top level entrepreneurs, they are physically fit. Otherwise, you will earn a lot of money and all money will go in taking care of your health. Arrogance can kill you. This is a nice question what a lot of people ask. What killed Nokia? Arrogance killed Nokia. What killed Kodak? Arrogance killed Kodak. Nokia was not killed by technology, not killed by anything else. They are just killed by arrogance. And people at the top, they can die. They can get killed. The business can get killed because there is a competitor who seems very humble and they are rising without your notice, and you are so arrogant, you don't even know that some competitor is rising. So arrogance is the very important rule, that you should not have arrogance. Otherwise you will get blinded, and not only you will see the customers leaving you, you will not even notice that some competitor is rising behind your back and they are going to kill your market. Very important, CSR, corporate social responsibility. When you grow, if you want to become a multi-millionaire, you must have corporate social responsibility. Give back to the society. CSR is in two ways. One, the moment the industry see that you are just not milking money, you are also giving back to the society and to the people who are not so lucky as you are, immediately your market rise. Which company you trust the most? The Reliance or the Tata? I'm sure Tata company is the most respected one. If you have a same type of product for Tata and Reliance, you will always choose the Tata company. Why? You respect that company. You know they have a huge CSR. So CSR actually helps the company to grow, and you need to have genuine empathy for the people. More or less, I have a lot of things to say, but more or less, if you follow these rules, you can always be a great entrepreneur. And if you need any help, well, I wanted to share with you. I got the best cybersecurity startup award long time back. I mean, that time, 2000, I think 15, 16 must be 5 years or 6 years back. I got this award from our Honorable Minister of IT and Finance, Dr. Amit Mitro. This is our office. I always say we have a lot of happy people out here who will take the company forward. And keep in mind, your employees you must share your vision with your employees. You are the head of the family, but you are not a dictator. If your vision, your ambition is spread within the employees, they will also help you from their own. Otherwise, you have to force them to do the work. Right, that's me. So if you have any question, I'm willing to take up. Otherwise, this is my number, 98303-10550. You can take a photo of this or a screenshot of this page. You can always contact me on WhatsApp if you do want to any mentoring from me. I'll be happy to help you. And I don't need any money for that. I'm always happy to see the entrepreneurs growing. So if you need any help, anything with compliance, anything with fund management, anything with government help, I'm part of NASSCOM. I'm part of the IT Ministry Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. I'm part of committee member of NASSCOM and CII. So whenever I can help you, I will help you out. But send me a WhatsApp. Don't call me because I'm mostly in the client meetings and I don't reply emails. So don't send me an email to me. Only on WhatsApp. This is my number, 98303-10550. You can take a photo of this number and you can always contact me. So I'm stopping the sharing. Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir, for enlightening the crowd with your immense amount of knowledge regarding the entrepreneurship skills. And thanks a lot for attending Perivalent 2020. And obviously, thanks a lot for being a part of it. Have a great day and a great life ahead. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sandipda.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for this excellent insight, starting from HR, marketing, money, even to health. That is very important. So that's a wonderful session. I guess they have an eye-opener today. They understood that overall taking care of not only business, about himself or themselves is also very important. It was a wonderful session. I got some question. Can I go with it?
Yeah, please do.
But in your opinion, which is more preferred, a team of very talented workers or a team of trustworthy workers?
Well, it's a 20-80 distribution. 20% people will be very talented people, but never ever take somebody who is only trustworthy and who is only talented and not trustworthy. So don't have anybody who is not trustworthy. That is the number one rule. And the number two is, if you have very trustworthy people, try to skill that person. Because in my company, suppose I have 20% people who are talented, who can improvise, who can break the rules, who can bring something new to the company. But there are 80% people who can basically deliver the work as told to them. And they need to follow the rules. So it's a 20-80, but one thing is, have 0% people who are not trustworthy. They will ruin the company sooner or later. Over to you.
Sandipda, lots of thank you and all. Then there is a question. Sir, you say that if you do not pay your group members, they will leave you. Okay. But on starting, we can have lots of problems, obviously, regarding money and all. And then how we can create a good team if it is not compromised in that way?
Right. So in the beginning, don't try to have, because I saw some startups with 7 to 8 partners. Now, even if you earn some money, even in distribute between 7 to 8 people, how much each of these people will receive? Not much money. So when you start, try to have that at least 2 to 3 partners, and otherwise 2 to 3 people who are basically working for you. But you can tell them very clearly that this is my deadline. I have 1 year time to make this a profitable, and what is your expectation? So if you go and work for TCS or CTS or maybe Oracle, Google, or maybe PwC, KPMG, this is the salary they will be offering you per month, 50,000 or 40,000. I can only achieve that after 2 years. So for 2 years, you have to give me 100%, maybe for 6 months without expecting money. After 6 months, I will pay you 50% of the salary that you can get from outside. After another 6 months, I can give you the same salary which they are offering. And the last 6 months or after 2 years, I will offer you more than what you can get as a salary from somebody else. If you give this clarity in your vision and follow this deadline, then definitely these people will stick to you doing some compromise. But if the clarity is not there, and at the end, after 2 years deadline, you cannot show them that the time that they have invested over here will give them more money what they could have earned doing a job, then there is no right for you to tell them that you stay with us.
Thank you. That was an excellent insight. Now, this is my question from the young entrepreneurs mostly. What are the do's and what are the don'ts they need to do when they are starting their business? This is a very simple, so they can get some idea, the do's and don'ts. You can give a great insight of it.
So my entire PowerPoint presentation was about do and don'ts.
Absolutely.
I would say that the compulsory thing is make sure that your compliance is correct, because if you don't have the right compliance, you will die. You need to have proper cash management. The idea that you have, that needs to be gone through a proper market survey. Meet as many people as possible within the first 6 months when you start a business. As many people, that is where you will get the ideas and the customers. Next is educate your customers. Don't plead them for jobs. Tell them that this is something, an offering which other people are taking. And there are a lot of tricks in marketing. When you do a marketing, suppose I go to company A and meet the CEO of the company, and you tell them, sir, this is something which we have, and this is already we are negotiating and finalizing the deal with company B, who is your market competitor. There is a high chance that A will take your product. So these are all marketing tricks. So have a good marketing strategy. Marketing person will actually take you forward. So marketing and technology, these are the two things which first come into the, I would say, the forward thinking. And the support thinking is do a market survey and make sure your compliance is okay. Otherwise, gone.
And one important thing, they need to make their web and software very secure. That is very important.
I don't want to do self-marketing for that, but yes, that is important.
Yes. So thank you, Sandipta. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to this session and enlighten not only them, even the faculty members who are here.
Right.
This is a great insight, and it can only get from people like you who is running business from so many years. And thank you so much. I guess today these young startups, young entrepreneurs who want to be great, future entrepreneurs, and it will be a great hand-holding. You have given your number. And I want to request everyone, you can contact Sandip sir at any point of time. Plus, please don't call him. Okay, I'm just telling it. So text him. He is a fantastic human being. He will reply you. He will help you out. And if there is any difficulty, you can contact me. I will talk to him.
Yes,
okay?
yes. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Sandip. The same to you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.